Hello, my name is Ben. I'm here recording on behalf of Generic Nerdism, that is my podcast, and I'm going to do a Magic Origins draft. This is the first time I've ever recorded a draft, so please do be gentle should you review. Right now we're looking at a pack that has quite a powerful rare card. It is a 7-drop though, so I'm not really all in on it. War Oracle is a great card. Lightning Javelin for me is probably the card that I'm going to take out of this pack. There's a lot of powerful cards in other colors, so we may actually end up keeping red open to our left. So I'll go ahead and reserve that. Separatist Void Mage, strong card. Shambling Ghoul is a great 2-drop in black. And then there's just a bunch of other fine 2-drops. Joraga Invocations, also notable. But again, that's a 6-block that requires a 6-drop that requires you to be in one of the weaker colors and requires you to have a lot of creatures. So I think I'm just going to take the reasonable removal spell in one of the better colors in the format and try to stay open after that. Yeah, I don't know. Gaia's Revenge is strong, but I just can't first pick a 7-drop. Worth noting is because I'm going to... How did I get the wrong card? That's really fascinating. Alright, oh, this is going to be an interesting draft. Here we have Blazing Hellhound, which is one of the premium gold cards. It's an uncommon card in the format. There's several of them, and they're all very strong, but there's something that I look to pick up a little bit later in the pack. For cards that are of interest to us, Foundry of the Councils is great. It's just a colorless, great way to stay open. Strong card. A Crow Insurgent is Sergeant is a great 3-drop, but not anything spectacular that we want to second pick, or technically first pick in this case. I do like Suppression Bonds a lot. It's just unconditional removal, which is pretty strong, and I'm just going to go ahead and add it to our picks to avoid any shenanigans like last time. So this is interesting. We've got Herald of the Pantheon, which does play kind of nicely with Suppression Bonds, as does Blessed Spirits. Another Crow Insurgent, which is great. Why do I keep pronouncing it that way? Orchard Spirit's fine. Not a lot of excitement here in this pack. I think I am just going to take Blessed Spirits, and a 3-mana 2/2 flyer is actually pretty great for this this format. And there's a possibility that Herald wields, probably not. All right, here we've got Helm of the Gods, Synergy. Synergy abounds in this pool. Majoring Network is probably not what we're interested in doing. Alchemist Vial is a surprisingly playable card. Just if you need a 22nd, 23rd card, it's there for you. Deadbridge Shaman I've been pretty impressed by, and Black-White is definitely an archetype that's kind of enchantment hungry. However, if I take a black card here, I think I'm going to take Unholy Hunger over Deadbridge Shaman. I'm not particularly excited by Helm of the Gods or any of the other cards here, so I think we're just going to go in on Unholy Hunger. Alright, next we have Tormented Thoughts, which I'm not super interested in playing. Charging Griffin is a totally fine white card. Guardian Automaton is a totally fine colorless card. This late Wild Instincts indicates that green is probably open, but from what I've seen from draft videos, green is almost always open this late in the first pack. Weight of the Underworlds potentially synergizes with a little bit of what we're doing, but I'm just not really sold on that card. I think I'm going to be happy taking a Charging Griffin here, and if we can pick up some auras to throw on our flyers, we've got a plan, as they say. We also cut white with that plan, which is pretty great. Angel's Tomb, something that we could potentially play, but I'm not really excited to try. Enshrouding Mist is just a very good combat trick that I think we're probably going to end up picking up here. Grasp of the Hieromancer is something that if we really want, we can probably get it late, and it is probably something that we might want 1 or 2 of in this deck, depending on where we end up. But I'm just going to take Enshrouding Mist here. Notable things that we're passing: Aspiring Aeronaut is a fine card, Antico Husk for the black-red archetype, and another Wild Instincts is pretty good. Here we see Orbs of Warding, which is just a sideboard card at best. Celestial Flare, which I haven't actually been that impressed with. It's pretty easy to go wide in this format. Another Grasp of the Hieromancer. As I said, if we want one of these, we can surely acquire one. Night Snare is not a card that I'm ever interested in playing. Watercourser is a pretty solid little blue 3-drop, but I think we're going to take the second Unholy Hunger and hope that we really don't get too many more of those. That's not a card that you need a lot of. This pack doesn't have anything that terribly excites us. As far as 5-drop goes, I think we can do better than Heavy Infantry if we need to. JMD Tome, I just think is way too slow, even to sideboard in a grindier matchup. We're going to take this Bonded Construct. It's cheap, and it can block 2-drops, and sometimes that's just what you want. This is an insanely late Separatist Void Mage, so we are going to pick that up and keep our eyes open on blue, with no looking back. Well, you know, maybe looking forward, we'll see. And again, some solid little picks here. I think with the cards that we have, I almost like Scrapskin Drake a little bit better. Veteran Sidearm, also surprisingly playable. We'll take the Aspiring Aeronaut for now. They're usually a little harder to come by than Scrapskin Drakes. Interesting here. Herald of the Pantheon did wield, and we do have a Might of the Masses, and green was fairly open. So we're going to take this. I know it looks like we're going in a lot of directions, but it's not going to be too hard for me to consolidate if I need to. We'll grab Screeching Scab. We may need 2 drops if we go white-blue. Here, what does this do? This makes people discard cards equal to the power of a sacrificed creature. I'm never going to play that ever. We'll throw Catacomb Slug in our sideboard, and Deep Sea Terror, and Mountain. So yes, we have a lot of things going on here. It seems like we like our white cards, but I'm not married to them either. We do have a little bit of enchantment synergy happening in green-white. We have 2 powerful removal spells in black. Herald of the Pantheon was our only pickup in green, but we did see 2 very late Wild Instincts that may or may not have... People might have just snapped those up because they're a powerful card and there was nothing else in the pack they wanted. And then we have a Languish. That's going to move us towards being in black. It's just having a board sweeper in a limited format is very good. And there's a reasonable chance that we're going to wheel something that we want in black-white out of this pack between the Goldforge Sentinel, Patron of the Valiant, Fetid Imp, Reeve Soul. I mean, I don't expect most of those to come back, but this is a very strong pack, and we're going to take the Languish. Yeah. Reeve Soul is also very good, but Languish is just superlative. I think I'm not quite ready to rule out any other colors yet, but green is by far the weakest contender. This is a fairly interesting draft. Also noted, I'm doing a Swiss draft, since this is my first draft ever recorded, and that just means that I'm going to get to play all my games regardless of how things go. So I was hoping to provide a decent amount of content, and that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully it will be good content, but I really make no promises. While we're waiting here, I'll talk a little bit about my podcast, Generic Nerdism. Ravaging Blaze is a very strong red card. Second Suppression Bonds is looking like a strong choice here. Valoran Wardens is also a good renowned creature that can kind of be a bit of an engine for you. Infernal Scarring would play with our enchantment theme, but yeah, Suppression Bonds is just the pick here. It's not really that difficult. Hopefully these pack picks will come a little bit faster because I am a novice to recording software and don't really want to do a lot of starting and stopping for fear of losing the recording. Alright, what do we have here? A strong blue uncommon in Jessian Thief. Nothing else. I mean, Llanowar Empath is playable, certainly. I think we're just going to grab this Rabid Bloodsucker. It kind of goes along with our black and white things that we're doing, and it can just be a bit of a finisher after you've ground down the board. It can actually end things pretty quickly, so we'll keep that in our back pocket. Another Charging Griffin here is quickly surpassed by having a Stalwart Even. This is just a very solid creature. I'm not wild about Despoiler of Souls. Double black can't mana cost, can't block. Return Centaur is fine. Another Jessian Thief, someone's going to be pretty happy there. Enthralling Victor, obviously great in that red-black sacrifice themed deck. I wouldn't mind a Charging Griffin, but Stalwart Avon, get in the van. Second Blessed Spirit is actually very interesting here. I don't know that it's better than Graveblade Marauder. Graveblade Marauder is pretty interesting. We do have 1-2 enchantments in white to go with our Blessed Spirits, and the ability to pick up some more pretty easily if we want to, but Graveblade Marauder, a 1/4 Death Touch, just does a lot of work, so we're going to pick up the rare here. Here, we've got Shadows of the Past, which is really interesting, and I hope it wheels, but I just can't caution taking it right now. While it does play with our little enchantment theme, it just doesn't do anything the turn it comes down, whereas Cleric of the Forward Order and Shambling Ghoul are both perfectly serviceable 2-drops. I'm going to err on the side of Shambling Ghoul just because we have a lot of black mana symbols in the cards we've selected so far, and I think overall it's stronger than Cleric unless you pick up multiples of the Cleric. Blood Curse Knight. This is something that we are very interested in. This is, I mentioned earlier, the uncommon cycle of dual-colored cards, and this is a 4/3 with lifelink, provided that we control another enchantment, which it seems very likely we will do. So we're going to go ahead and pick him up. Or her up. I've actually never really looked at the artwork. Here, I think we're going to grab Necromantic Summons. This is just a pretty strong card, especially when we have Unholy Hungers that can unconditionally remove bombs. We can then steal said bombs, and with Spell Mastery, make them even bigger. There's another Grasp of the Hieromancer in this pack, which I think I would pick up 1 or 2 of those, just because we do have a good amount of enchantment synergy going on now. As I mentioned, this pack is interesting. I think that I like Goldforge Sentinel more than Amprint Tactician. We just currently can't go wide enough to make Amprint Tactician that exciting, and this card can be a very serviceable finisher for us. Here it's between Healing Hands, Infernal Scarring, and Veteran Sidearm. I'm going to take Infernal Scarring for the fact that it replaces itself and it works with our enchantment theme. Enlightened Ascetic is something that I don't think I'd play main deck, but I will add to the sideboard and happily sideboard in. Return Centaur might make our deck. We hope it doesn't, but we'll see. We're going to hate draft this Vastwood Gorger. More Catacomb Slugs. Do Slug Tribal out of the sideboard. So here I'm pretty confident that I can move these blue and green cards out of our deck. It seemed like we were getting pretty decent white and black picks throughout that draft. We do need to pick up a few more playables. There are a few cards we'd love to replace, but I mean, this isn't the best deck ever, but we're certainly not in terrible shape. Nothing super premium that I'm interested in from this pack. We've got a great card, Undercity Troll for green, Wild Instincts for green, a third Unholy Hunger, which I'm not wild about, especially with 2 Suppression Bonds as well. I think we're going to take Consecrated by Blood. This has a lot of potential for payoff with our enchantment creatures, and it gets something very big and very scary. So we're going to grab that. Right now we're looking to pick up some 2-drops, some 3-drops, just some more kind of aggressive creatures and etc. Anointer of Champions is really strong. Suppression Bonds is also very good, but I think at this point we need creatures more than we need removal spells, and this one just makes combat math a nightmare for people, so we're going to snap it up. Knightly Valor is, again, one of those kind of huge, it's just one of the better uncommons in the set, and is huge with this enchantment sub-theme. Other noteworthies here, Evolving Wilds are always welcome. Reclusive Artificer is actually probably my least favorite of the payoff cards in the multicolor. There's just Wild Instincts for days in this draft, but yeah, nothing's pulling me away from Knightly Ballard. Gnarlroot Trapper is fine for the Elves deck. Thunderclap Wyvern is obviously a strong card for the blue-white deck. We don't really have, I'm not really interested in playing Read the Bones in this deck. We need a little more action. I'm just going to take this Oromancer. It's not super exciting, but it is a 3-mana 2/2, and we can potentially get some card advantage off of it. Here we've got a huge card in Scab Goliath. Not a whole lot of other exciting things in this pack. I think we've gotten to the point where we have enough decent enchantments that we don't really care about Grasp the Hieromancer, and we do care about having some 2-drops, so Fetid Imp is our pick. Here is a pack that is not terribly exciting. Yeah, nothing really for us. We do not need a 5-drop that is subpar as Heavy Infantry. We don't need any of these green or blue cards. I guess I'm just going to... I don't really think we need another Enshrouding Mist either. We just want more creatures, and we already have the one. But I guess we'll take it just in case. I don't think we play Meteorite either. We've got a little bit too many in the 5-drop category as it stands. Talent of the Telepath is pretty unimpressive and limited. Foundry of the Consuls is actually a consideration here. We're not super duper multicolor. We don't have any double mana cost spells until 4 mana, and so I think this is just very strong in being able to pack a couple of creatures into our mana base. I'm not really thrilled about Yoked Ox or a second Necromantic Summons. Here's an interesting card. We can have sort of a second Languish, which puts us into a really controlling role, which I actually kind of like. So I think we're going to take that. It's not a perfect spell, and it's definitely, like, against the Elf deck, it's obviously horrible. But I think it's main deckable, and I think that we are fine doing that. As I mentioned earlier, Alchemist Vial is a totally fine 23rd playable card, so let's steal it. With our deck getting as controlling as it has, I think we want this Read the Bones here. We don't have enchantments to make Starfield of Nyx at all exciting. It is a mythic that is going, what is this, 10th pick? But Read the Bones could actually do some work in our deck. Crow and Jailer is just not great. Dark Dabbling is a combat trick we could be interested in, since we don't have a ton of creatures, and we do want to save them, and this can kind of be a little bit of a blowout if we do some exciting combat. So we'll add this for now, but probably not play it. Let's take this Thunderclap Wyvern. It's just clearly the most powerful card. Wow, that Scab Goliath is so late. I want to go back and watch this draft and see what other blue picks went insanely late. Goodbye Dreadwaters, and goodbye Mountain. So we are into deck building now. We will see how this deck turns out. I'm thinking this is going to end up being somewhere in the C vicinity. I'm not really excited about this. Let's move Foundry over here. Let's sort by converted mana cost, actually. And we definitely don't want 2 Enshrouding Mists main. I think we do keep all of these low drops, but possibly not Alchemist Vial. Like, I don't really think that needs to be in our deck. We need to cut 3 more cards, so let's see what we like the least. Return Centaur is pretty unexciting, but I think for the most part we want to aim at cutting non-creatures, and I think if we're doing that, Dark Dabbling is kind of the least exciting. We have a decent amount of removal. We have Enshrouding Mist, which is a better combat trick. I do like this Read the Bones, since we actually have some kind of interesting answers to dig to a lot of the time. We're really, really light on low drops, which is going to be, if this deck has a downfall, its downfall. Knightly Valor is kind of a creature. There's the chance to be blown out, but we're not going to play into that if we're playing with Knightly Valor. So we want to cut 2 more cards. I think Interesting. I don't think Infernal Scarring is really where we want to be. How many enchantments do we have now? We've got the 2 Suppression Bonds. We've got Knightly Valor. We've got Consecrated by Blood. I think that's enough for a single Blood Curse Knight to be active without playing something that's kind of on the weaker side. That card does replace itself though, so it's not really the end of the world if we have it in our deck. And as much as I'm unexcited to play Returned Centaur, I think we like it. I think my cut here is going to be Necromantic Summons, something we can sideboard in if it seems like it's going to be very easy to give it some payoff. But we're going to move that to the sideboard for now and see where the rest of this goes. What I really do like about the deck is just that we can completely, if we get a 3 or 4 for 1 off of Languish, that's going to be a game that's hard to lose. Yeah. But we are a little creature light, and we're definitely light on low drops. Let's add some basic lands to the deck. I think we actually want to go 9, 7. We just definitely want to have a little bit of white mana earlier. And yeah, I think this is definitely our deck. What I'm going to do for now is stop recording and hopefully record again when the draft begins. So thanks for watching so far, and I look forward to playing some games for you.